Everyone for joining us this morning, and depending upon what time zone you're in, it's either morning or early evening. My name is Brunilda from Passages of Distinction. I will be a ghost monitor today, and I'd like to introduce our two special guests who will be speaking to you today about India. First, I would like to introduce the owner of Passages of Distinction. Her name is Sari Freeman. I think a lot of people here in the US know her. We are happy that you can join. And then, of course, we have our distinguished guest, Mohan, who is the owner of TravelScope India, and we'll be discussing everything India with Sari this morning. Now I will be turning myself off, and I wish you all a wonderful meeting.
Thank you so much, Brunilda. So first of all, I'm Sari Freeman, the founder and CEO of Passages of Distinction. We're a representation company in the US. We specialize in a very select collection of privately owned luxury hotels and DMCs, of which, of course, Mohan and TravelScope are one. And we've had an excellent 10-year relationship. I am delighted to be here to perform this interview, and delighted to have all of you here today to learn about TravelScope and our relationship working together. So Mohan, it's wonderful to have you here. Would you like to introduce yourself a little bit?
Thank you, Sari. Thank you very much. Yes, I'm Mohan from TravelScope. Many of you who are attending today know me, but those who don't know, well, I have been in the travel business for many years now and working with Passages for over 10 years. I'm actually, thank you, Sari, for organizing this. It's a privilege to be here among some of the best travel designers in industry and talking to you and having them as our audience. So yes, I'm all ready, and let's start this.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, I have a few questions prepared. So tell me a little bit about how you got into the business, TravelScope, of course, and what you love most about the business.
Thank you. So my early days in travel go back to 1984, when I joined the travel industry. And it was purely by accident, I must say that. I never thought that I would get into the travel business. We are a family involved in inbound tourism in India for over 3 decades now. My initial days in travel were spent working in the incentive segment business. My brother Nagesh, who's also one of the attendees, got into this business, and I joined him. And so initially I worked a lot in the incentive segment. I think that set the tone for what was to come in the later years. In 1999, I moved to TravelScope, which is another company that we formed. What I love about being in travel is, of course, you get to travel, which is, I think, a privilege, I would say. But I think what I love about it is that you can unearth a destination in so many different ways. And that's what I have learned over the years. I love what I learn through travel. It helps me to create experiences that are very enriching and meaningful for our clients. There are different aspects of travel that I love, that include, like I said, traveling, meeting people, making friends, and bringing India closer to travelers as we are doing today.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So I'd love to know what you believe, or what you believe TravelScope does best. What differentiates you from the rest? I know it's hard for you.
That's an excellent question. That's an excellent question, but a tough one to answer, I must say that because I get that a lot when, you know that, and, I get that a lot.
We
It's
get
hard
that a
to draw
lot.
comparisons, you know. It's hard to draw comparisons because, travel is an evolving space, as you know. But if there is one thing that is unique to Travel Scope is I would say it's our eagerness to learn and bring authentic experiences to our travel experiences, travel itineraries, I'm sorry. I think that's a unique point, I would say, because we are all constantly looking for opportunities to improve and improvise our itineraries, our travel itineraries. We take new initiatives. Our destination knowledge, our commitment to our clients, and the flexible nature of our operations. And I think that's something that we get, all the time from our clients, that, the flexibility with which we work.
Which is even more
and of
important
course,
now
the
than
attention
ever.
to detail.
Sorry.
Absolutely. And eventually the attention to detail, which is, very important in what we do, because primarily our clients are all, individual travelers, and we have to really, fine tune everything to the last detail. So I would say that these are some of our strong points as a DMC. Like I said, it's hard to compare, and you don't know who you're comparing with, but I mean, these are some points that I really wanted to mention. Yes.
Well, we believe it's the heart that you bring to it as well. You really have passion for what you do and everyone on your team. So we love that. So now we're going to talk a little bit about some of the initiatives that you have. And the Watch initiative, I know, is very special to you. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, thank you for talking about that. That's one of my, I would say, favorite subjects that I always like to talk, I always like to discuss. It's quite very close to my heart as well. So for those who don't know, Watch is not a brand, but Watch is more of an initiative, and it's an abbreviation for wildlife, adventure, tribes and communities, conservation, and habitat. I have been traveling to the jungles of India for over a decade now. And I have been very lucky and fortunate to be associated with some of the most amazing naturalists while we were in the forests, or people who've been associated with conservation. And these are the people who have really inspired me to, launch something or launch an initiative like Watch. What we aim to give our clients through Watch is a very comprehensive experience of wildlife and nature that includes all the elements of Watch. It's like extending our wildlife itineraries beyond just the jungle safaris, because in India, when you come on a wildlife trip, primarily clients always have a wish list, and that wish list is to spot some of the predatory species like leopards and tigers. And in that quest, sometimes, or I would say most times, people really miss out on a lot of things. So, and when you get into a jungle, and a forest, from an anthill to a tree, or from cuisine to the communities, or just observing the nature and the behavior of animal behavior. These are all very important elements of visiting a forest. And I think if you have a good naturalist, they really bring all that to life. So that's what we aim to give our clients through these Watch itineraries. It could be visiting the mangrove forests in Sundarbans in the eastern part of India, or to look for, let's say, the single-horned rhinos in Kaziranga, or getting into much more extreme habitats like going to Ladakh to look for snow leopards. So These are, some of the, these are only some experience that I'm telling you about it, but India has a lot more to offer across the country, different habitats, different wildlife, and then the communities and the tribes that are connected with it, and the stories that emerge from all this. And I think that's what, makes watch a very interesting concept.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Mohan, for that. So now we're getting down a little bit to business. As we are going through this challenging time and COVID is ever present, I want to ask how COVID sort of developed in India, how the government's been handling it, and how, what's going on the ground right now.
Yeah, that's a concern the
Big
whole
question.
world is going through right now. It's not a concern. It's a big crisis that the world is going through right now, and India is not devoid of that. So I'd just like to take you back, a few months before. I think the first traces of the virus were found at the end of January, actually, to be precise, on the 30th of January. I was traveling with a group of people from the Met Museum in New York, and I was in southern India. And I learned about it through a newspaper article that there were 3 cases found in Kerala, and that's where we were going 2 days later. But, a few days later, we learned that 2 cases were found negative, and 1 case was cured over a period of time. And for about a month, there was nothing, no cases in India. And just around the first week of March, around like the 3rd or 4th, we started, learning about the cases, and the government of India was taking decisions very fast, because the scenario was changing, every day, and as it is happening now. We, at that point in time, had over 100 people traveling across India in different parts of India. And we didn't have much time to react, and we had to really do a quick turnaround to get all our clients back to Delhi or Mumbai from wherever they were flying home, and our only objective was to send them back home. And we did that. We very successfully did that before
Yes.
the international flights were suspended. And I must, also applaud our team for having worked, almost 24 hours every day to change people's itineraries, programs, cancel hotels, rebook flights, and also working with their international travel agents to rebook international flights and everything. And the most rewarding thing was that we were able to send everybody back on time, and none of them contracted the virus, and everybody wrote back to us and how appreciative they were. But today the scenario is very different. We have about 63,000 cases, positive cases. Of course, a lot of them are also being cured, and the deaths are about approximately 2,100. But the government is doing everything possible. They've moved every possible machinery to control this, and
Yes.
they've taken a lot of measures. I mean, the lockdown has been one of the measures. So yes, it's that's the kind of situation right now in India at this point in time.
Okay. Well, thank you so much.
I don't know if that tells you a little story of where it started and where we are today. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, every day it changes, every week it changes, as it is. And I mean, we have it a lot worse here. So can't say anything. So I do want to ask, because I understand you, as usual, you're creating different initiatives, and with the impact of COVID, I understand it's been really tough on the migrant workers in India, and you've personally taken an interest and contributed and supported. So tell us a little bit about that, how you've done that, which is so kind.
It's a very sensitive issue here, and we've been in a state of lockdown for about 7 weeks now. It has definitely impacted the economy and the people of this country, but particularly the migrant workers. I mean, we are talking a lot about it, but I personally feel that talking about a problem is not going to take it away. And what I did, and I mean, and we all have to be as responsible citizens. I think we all have to do our bit, and that's what I've embarked on basically. And what I did is just got a few of residents from my neighborhood together. We've been raising money. We have a vendor who provides us the supplies. We just ask our supporters to send the money directly to the vendor. We just get the supplies. We go to these neighborhoods and hand out these essentials, survival kits, basically, so that, because we don't want a crowding situation to happen. So therefore, we go to these clusters of migrant worker homes, and we hand over these survival kits. And we probably handed over about 1,000 kits up until now, and the effort is still continuing. And people are supporting us, friends and neighbors and and friends. So the money is coming. It's just that one has to handle the logistics of it. But we are doing it, and we'll continue to do it as long as there is a need for it.
I think it's amazing, really. I mean, on a whole, TravelScope is an organization that's socially and environmentally conscious, and I think it's truly amazing. And last year, I know you took up running to support a specific cause, and it is a lovely story. So, would you like to tell us a little bit about the contributions and support you offer?
Yes. Thank you for asking me for that. Actually, it was the year before last. Time flies, before
Sure
you
does.
know, because it was in 2018. As an organization, we do support a lot of social initiatives. I feel that tourism has the power to be a catalyst for doing social good. And through my travels and meeting people, I have been connected with some of these organizations who are doing excellent work. These are non-profits that are focused on, providing education to the poor, or working in health and sanitation, environmental issues, wildlife protection, sustainable employment. And there are a lot of areas where some good work is being done in India. I think I've been lucky to be connected with them. So we allocate a certain budget annually to financially support them. We also, kind of schedule visits to some of these, organizations on our itineraries, if there is interest, if a client has an interest. I'll give you two examples. One is, there is an initiative in Jaipur called the Jaipur Pink Rickshaw, which is basically an initiative to provide sustainable employment to women from low-income families. And these are women who drive these electrical rickshaws, and they take tourists on a little ride through the old city. So we support that. There's an organization called Dhonk in Ranthambore near the national park, where there's a lady called Divya. She runs a unit, which is where people are making crafts and textiles. Again, the women who are working here are women who come from families of ex-poachers of animals and who are being rehabilitated. And the question you asked me where it all started, I'm sorry I gave you a little brief about what we do. We also support an organization called Miracle Foundation. They're based out of Austin, Texas. They work in the area of protecting rights of children. They go by the UNICEF's Charter of 12 Basic Rights of Children, and they adopt orphanages in India. They support them, and then they ensure that these 12 basic rights are implemented by people who are running the orphanages. So I participated in the Delhi Delhi Airtel half marathon. I, of course, participated in the 10K category and raised funds for them. I was able to raise a good amount of money, and I got a lot of support from your country as well, from my clients.
Wonderful. I mean, they're all great stories. What can I say? So I also know that another initiative that you have is to eliminate single-use plastic bottles, which I think in India is really remarkable. It's hard enough to do it anywhere else, but in India. So tell us about that, and also promoting animal rights as well in tourism.
So plastic is a huge issue across the world and in India. I have, I mean, we all travel. So, and I used to look at the amount of plastic wastage that happens. You go through rural areas and you'll see a lot of plastic bags lying around. And this has been, again, there are things, as you know, Sari, there is an inner voice that is always speaking to you. And I've been thinking about this whole plastic thing for a long time. So, and the inspiration also comes from the fact that there are a lot of people who had already started working on this and providing alternate, I would say, options, solutions for this. And also, as a family at home, my wife is, has instilled some very conscious thoughts in all of us. And I think that's also important to address here. We also take a lot of initiatives at home. One of the things that we stopped doing is to get milk in plastic pouches, for example. So, like I said, as they say, charity begins at home, and I think consciousness begins when you get into the bathroom in the morning and open the tap to brush your teeth, and I think it starts from there. So these are all things that have come, over a period of time. And I said that, we should kind of somehow start offering alternatives. We researched, we had to come up with, obviously, a solid solution, because, the drinking water, the water itself is a main, component that you had to ensure that, you give, you supplied the, safe water, safe drinking water, and then the system. So what we do is that we provide our travelers with personalized branded water bottles, metal water bottles, and our cars are equipped with 20-liter reusable bottles, and we put a dispenser on top. We've trained our drivers, our chauffeurs across, not just in Delhi, but in other locations also. It's been going well. I mean, I think on an average, on a 10-day tour, I think, in my opinion, you end up saving at least 200 plastic bottles, half-liter bottles, considering that a guest consumes, let's say, 2 bottles a day. I mean, sometimes it could be even more. I'm just being conservative. So, and majority of our clients are now opting for it. Our groups are opting for it. So yes, it's something which is rewarding to see that our clients are also supporting us on this.
It's wonderful. How many do you think you've saved overall? I heard a figure, but I thought I'd ask you.
I think, I don't know. I mean, Prerana would probably give us the exact figure, but I think that runs into thousands. I can tell you that.
Oh, no,
but definitely. I can definitely share that information.
I think I heard something like 500. No. Maybe I'm wrong. Anyway, yeah, we can share that later. So what about your initiative against the use of animals? That also, I think, is very commendable.
It is. I think the world over, people have become very, very conscious about use of animals in tourism. In fact, in some cases, I've also been asked this question by clients that, hey, do you provide animal rides on your trips? And again, like I said, inspiration comes from, people who are doing this, some wonderful work. And one of the inspirations was a visit to uh, uh, a rescue center, which is on the outskirts of Agra. It's an organization called Wildlife SOS. And they worked very hard on eliminating, the dancing bears from India completely. And they rehabilitated about 200 dancing bears in this facility on the outskirts of Agra. So these are all very, I would say, eye-opening experiences that you go through, because, as, I would say, as normal people, we don't know what actually, happens. We just, kind of, just scratch the surface, but only you have to meet the right people to learn about all these things. And again, I've been fortunate, lucky to be connected with, such people. So, and we kind of, it took us a while, mind you, it's not easy to just, stop doing things, but it took us a while, but we've come to a stage where we have eliminated, these experiences completely from our programs. And if we include anything, it's I would say, thoroughly audited. Like we still promote an activity which is on the outskirts of Jaipur, which is a shelter for 3 adopted elephants, and we know the owner, and he himself has stopped, rides now. So it's just an interaction. It's just an evening or an afternoon that you spend with these lovely, elephants who were like family to the gentleman who has adopted them, and he has this huge farm where he keeps them. So they have a day shelter, they have a night shelter. So if we have anything, it's things like that. Otherwise, we have completely eliminated. And again, it comes from, inspiration of meeting people who have, done some amazing work here.
That's wonderful. Yeah. And it's, showing appreciation. Yes. And, okay, on another topic, I understand, as usual, you're very humble, Mohan. And I think that's what we all love about you. And I understand the map that you created. Actually, I think I have one here. I think you've redone about, 4 times now? And that now UNESCO is involved, and I think it's quite remarkable. You're doing this collaboration with UNESCO, so tell us about that.
Okay, yeah, that's again a very interesting story, if I can, tell you.
Sure.
So, as you know, this map we had created because we, world over again, people do not, want any paper brochures, and we never had a brochure actually. We kind of, so I said the map is a good idea. People like maps, so that's how we started. We created this map, and I met the director of UNESCO India. So this is, first of all, I want to clarify that this is a initiative with UNESCO India office. So I met the
Have to do my little show and tell.
Director of UNESCO India at
Keep going, it's okay.
Yeah.
I have to do my sales job too.
So, well, anyway, we exchanged contacts, and I went and met him, and I handed over a copy of our map, and he took a look at it, and he was quite impressed, and he said, do you think that,
this is the old one.
We can work on creating another version of this, just with the UNESCO, World Heritage Sites of India. So I said, well, I'll be privileged to do that. So, for our listeners, I just wanted to add some more information first. Is that UNESCO has 37 certified cultural and natural heritage sites in India, 11 biosphere zones, and 13 intangible cultural heritage elements that are all part of the UNESCO certification. So over 50 such certifications we have. We have monuments, we have biosphere zones, we have natural sites, we have cultural sites. So this is a big deal, honestly. But any good project takes time, and it took us almost a year to work with UNESCO India office, with the director personally. I mean, he was involved in this whole thing, and we went through many, meetings and many revisions, and eventually we were able to launch it last month. But unfortunately, because of the lockdown, I couldn't go and present copies of the map physically, but they know about it, and they're waiting for us to come and give them framed copies, which they have kindly agreed to display in their office. So yeah, I mean, it's been a wonderful project to work on. There's a lot of learning which came from it.
Oh yeah.
From UNESCO in India. Yeah.
I think it's amazing. And I have to say that map I've always felt was one of the best maps I've ever seen, even before, and every year you would redo it. And I'd say, but it's already so fantastic. Like, I don't think you really need to, but you increasingly, every year you want to improve upon what you've done in the past, and you're always creating something new. So, I mean, it's really outstanding. So I commend you on that. So, so before we wrap up, no, you're welcome anytime. Before we wrap up, I just want to also ask you, what makes you so passionate about showcasing India, specifically since the US is our market, to the US and Canadian guests, travelers?
Okay. Yeah, that's a very good question. I've been, as you know, coming to the US for over 15 years now, more than that actually, almost 20 years, I would say. I think Americans are generally very astonished when they come to a country like India. I think what fascinates them is, the learning that comes with association. By that, what I mean is that they always have this thing about comparing things to, life back home. Whether it's the crowd or the chaos or the cuisine or the traditions, and I think India really fascinates them, and they really I feel that they really immerse themselves into the culture when they come to a destination like India, but I think most Americans think that India is a once in a lifetime trip for them. They think that they won't come back again, but actually that's not true. And here I want to thank some of our own clients. A few of them are attending our session today, who have been returning to India almost every year, I would say. There's a family from Utah who come from every year. There's a group of followers of Carl Jung that's led by a Swiss-American client of ours who come to India every year. There's a culinary enthusiast. And a group of culinary enthusiasts who come, led by an expert in slow food from Colorado. There's a couple from Banff in Canada who've been coming to India for 10 years now. And in fact, they were actually supposed to come to India in August to go to Ladakh. They wrote a very nice mail to us saying that, while we are optimistic about travel, but we also have to be realistic about travel. And so I don't think we're going to be making it this year, which is disappointing, but it's understandable. So that's what I think makes me feel that, we should have promote India more in the US market or in the Canadian market, because there is interest. But yes, people are a little skeptical. Probably India is on the fourth or fifth trip list after probably Africa. But I think once they come to India, I think they get transformed. That's a life-changing experience for them, and that's what I like about it.
Yeah, well, I have to say, I mean, when I first came to India, it did transform my life. And then when I went with you, and it was not easiest trip the first time because I was on my own. When I went with you, Mohan, it was a completely different experience. It was so much easier. And I think when people want to go to a country such as India, you want to be in the hands of somebody who really can take care of you. And especially now, I mean, more than ever before, an expert on the ground who's passionate, who cares deeply, and who has a great team on the ground. You need to, like for the clients, they need to be able to trust that their clients' lives are in your hand and you can handle that. And you guys do that so very well. And I mean, Brunilda's traveled with you as well. And I have to say, you guys just do an amazing job, and you're so passionate about what you do. So we're so thrilled to be working with you for so long. And we want everybody to know how wonderful you guys are, and the initiatives that you've created, the creativity that you bring to the table, the just the love that you have for what you all do. That speaks volumes. And just want to say thank you for inviting me to do this with you.
Great, fabulous. So
thank you.
Mohan, we have a couple of questions as we close out that I'm going to just field for you. The first one comes, actually we have a few of them that come from Susan, and I'll just read them out to you. The first one is, what is the best way for first-time travelers to experience India? Should it be state by state or an all-over overview by experience? She's really looking for the best way to absorb the country in 2 to 3 weeks for clients with an interest that would want to return again.
So, first timers to India, my suggestion would be to go to places where they can, easily kind of, ease themselves into the destination. A lot of people want to come to India to see the Taj Mahal, so they end up coming to the northern part of India. But I wouldn't shy away from saying that, well, try a trip to southern India first. And I think that's a much more spiritual, much more, I would say easy to navigate destinations, and then kind of prepares you to come to other parts of India. But India's never, can't be done in one trip. It takes a lifetime, to kind of see the whole of India. But yes, I would say that, yeah, try to come to the southern part of India.
Wonderful. Thank you. So the next question is a great one as well. Realistically, can we expect to send clients to with TravelScope to India in the spring of 2021? Do you think it should be later? Clearly, FITs want adventure, culture, and safety.
So it's hard for me to predict, a timeline for travel to India at this point in time. I think a lot of it will unfold in the next couple of months. That's what I feel. And that'll kind of give us a little idea of how things would go. Most people are at this point in time looking at spring 2021, but with caution. I have a couple of trips that are planned for spring 2021. I mean, we have, not I, for which the clients are also making parallel reservations for 6 months to a year later, so that in case if travel is not happening at that moment, then they have an option of coming back probably in spring 2022 or fall 2021. I would say between fall 2021 to spring 2022 is going to be a time which would be, I think, much more apt for traveling to India at this point in time. That's what I feel. Yes.
Thank you for that very realistic answer and very conservative answer. We appreciate that. The next question is for those people who would like to go a little bit earlier. The current consensus is to offer one-stop travel, so that, for example, someone would be in Delhi or in Mumbai and go on trips from there, sort of a spoken wheel. Is it possible to do that in India as a first trip?
So what you're saying, if I understood correctly, what you're saying is that staying put in one place and then making trips?
Correct.
Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So I would say, options are not that many. Okay, you can stay in Delhi or you can stay in Mumbai and do a few trips, probably, 2 or 3 trips. But my question is, why would we want to stay in a city right now, particularly after what we are going through? I would rather take people to more remote locations and have them do trips from there than staying in larger cities. And that's how I would look at it. But yes, there are possibilities of doing. I mean, one of the things that we were working on was how to explore our cities more than what we are doing. For example, if you came to Delhi, most people would do the old part of Delhi or visit one or two monuments, and then they keep going. But there is a lot to do in our cities as well. I'm not saying no to it, but in the current scenario, it makes more sense to be away from the cities than being in large cities.
Great. So I have two last questions that I'd like to ask you. The first one, which is a great question because, of course, you're so involved in sustainable and conscious tourism. We have a question regarding, would travelers be allowed to connect with your initiatives that are important to TravelScope, or be able to participate in any fundraising at the ground level?
So yeah, that's a good question, and I'm happy to hear that. And we try and facilitate as far as possible for our travelers to connect with some of these initiatives that we support. Some are easy to do, some are difficult because they're also located in areas where travelers would not go. I mean, for example, if it's on a mainstream itinerary, yes, it's much easier. For example, Wildlife SOS, it's on the outskirts of Agra, so it's easy to include that on an itinerary. Or like I said, Dhonk in Ranthambore, or the Pink City Rickshaw in Jaipur. So we also try and find initiatives where we can connect our travelers with, but not every initiative, but by and large, yes, we can do that.
Great.
The second part of your question, fundraising, yes, it's always welcome. Money is an important element in running the show, particularly where it concerns nonprofits who are primarily dependent on donations and contributions. So yes, we can help them with that.
Fabulous.
Short answer is yes.
And I do believe after this, people are going to want to be more involved. I think people are inspired to be more involved, sustainable, and all of this will be bigger and bigger. So you're ahead of the game.
Absolutely.
So our last question is, and I think I know the answer to this, but I'll ask it anyway. Do you have copies of the newest maps that can be sent to the United States for distribution?
So printed copies may take a while, because once the lockdown lifts, and then only we will be able to ship them. But we can send digital copies through a link from where it can be downloaded. Yes, absolutely.
Wonderful. So with that, I'd like to thank both our panelists for taking such time and care and responding to all of the questions. And we've had a great conversation between all of you. If anyone would like to have any additional questions that you want to pose to myself or Sari or Mohan, we will be sending you a little note of thanks with our contact information. I'd like to thank everyone for participating and wish you all a great week.
Thank you, Brunilda.
If I can just say a few things, we have some interesting conversations coming up. One is on Wednesday, 13th, and then again the following weeks, again Monday and Wednesday, again we have two more interesting people. So these are all our associates, our partners with whom we've been working for many years now, and they bring a very special element to our trips. So I would encourage everyone to sign up for these conversations, and it will be a pleasure to have you and join them and benefit out of the how do you say, wonderful knowledge that all these people would share in their own domain. So yes, please do join us. We'll feel very happy about it.
Okay. Thank you all. Bye-bye.